The Truth Girls.
Hi everyone, it's Truth Girl Sonia here. I told you I was following the story about Mike Hughes, the flat earther who was planning to launch himself up in a rocket, and I told you I was going to give you an update. And I have an update. Actually, I have some interesting information, give you more of an accurate picture of what's going on here. You know, I'd like to point out, actually, in all of the headlines, he's always described as a flat earther, and it's always made out like the reason for the rocket flight is to get up high and take pictures to prove the earth is flat. And that's actually why in my last video I said something about this story doesn't make sense. If the guy's smart enough to build a rocket, why would he think that going 1,800 feet in the air would give him a good enough view to take pictures and figure out if the earth was flat? A, and B, why wouldn't he just take a plane? And C, why would he risk his life? I said, like, it doesn't make sense. Well, it turns out that this rocket mission, this one in itself was not for the purpose of figuring out if the earth was flat. So, you know, let's deal with this first. What he says was, I like to do extraordinary things that no one else can do. And no one in the history of mankind has designed, built, and launched himself in his own rocket. So he's kind of trying to, you know, make sure that he goes down in history, something like that. But that's what this is about. It's about him and his rocket hobby. And he was going to launch himself from an airstrip in Amboy, a ghost town in the Mojave Desert. And he had permission from the owner of this town to do that. So this little town is actually owned by a person. And the person had said, yeah, you could do this here. The problem is that once the federal government got wind of what he was going to do, they say, no, you're not going to do this. We were contacted by the Bureau of Land Management, and they informed me that they are not going to allow me to do the event there, at least at that location. So it could be he'll be doing it somewhere else. In fact, at this point, he is hoping to be able to launch his rocket on Monday. He has relocated his launch pad to about 6 kilometers from the original spot in order to take off and land on private property. It may not be enough. The Bureau of Land Management said he still needs to fill out the permits. Oh, and he had another problem. He says, plus when we were actually ready to leave and go to Amboy, the motorhome / rocket launcher broke down in the driveway. Well, better in the driveway than in mid-flight. So he hasn't given up. I don't think he's going to give up anytime soon. So the question was, what does this have to do with the flat earth? After all, his rocket does say research flat earth right on the side of it. Well, first of all, he's sponsored by a flat earth group. Maybe, I'm guessing it's the Flat Earth Society. I don't know how many flat earth groups there are out there. But anyway, he's sponsored by one of them, and he himself is a flat earther. And he hopes that down the road he'll be able to take a rocket flight that's high enough to obtain photographic evidence to support his belief. His belief, of course, that the earth is flat. So that's where this is at right now. Number one, he hasn't quit. He's had some roadblocks, but he hasn't given up. And two, that no, he didn't think he could prove the earth was flat by going up 1,800 feet. But the media certainly try to make it look like that. Like, yes, you know, flat earth beliefs are really out there on the fringe. And so, of course, the media would miss no opportunity to make this guy sound as crazy, you know, as possible. But he's not crazy enough to think that he can get that kind of proof from the height of 1,800 feet. Mad Mike is mad, but he's not that mad. So there's more to this story than that. And maybe he'll never get the proof, but maybe he will go down in history as the first person to launch himself up in a homemade rocket. So that's it. I wanted to give you an update. Thanks for giving me a thumbs up. Thanks for your support on Patreon. Thanks for listening to me, and I'll see you next time.